So I'm going to teach you how to do the finance section of your Wearing is Caring project. And the finance section is found on page 3 of your project handout. And typically businesswomen and businessmen tend to create finance plans in order to predict how much it will cost to produce their products on a large scale. And they also want to know how much profit they'll be making from selling their products. So you're going to do a projected cost for your t-shirts and for your eco-friendly products. So I'm going to show you how to do the t-shirt part, and then you should be able to use the same process to do your eco-friendly products. In this section, we're going to project the cost for making 1,000 t-shirts, and then we're also going to project how much profit we'll be making from 1,000 t-shirts. So first, you want to make a table that looks something like this. Say like this is my t-shirt, and this t-shirt costs me $5 to make, but I'm going to charge my customers $10, which means if I'm charging $10 but it only costs me $5 to make, I'm making a $5 profit. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my table, and I think you're going to need to adjust some of these headings to make more sense, right? So cost to make this number of t-shirts, cost we are charging our customers to buy this many t-shirts, profit our nonprofit company will be making if we sold this many t-shirts to customers, right? You always want to start off with the base. So you always want to do 0. How much money would 0 t-shirts cost? $0. And all the other numbers here would be 0, right? Now, what if we sold 100 t-shirts? Well, if it cost us $5 to make one t-shirt, then 5 times 100 is $500. So it's going to cost us $500 to make 100 t-shirts. Since we're actually selling them for $10 each, 10 times 100 is $1,000, and so that's how much we're charging our customers to pay for $100 t-shirts. To find our profit, we just subtract how much it costs us to make our t-shirts from how much we'll be charging our customers, and we get a profit of $500. Okay? You're going to do this for 200 t-shirts as well. So for example, it costs us $5 to make one t-shirt times 200 gives us $1,000. Since we're selling each t-shirt for $10, it would be 10 times 200, which would be $2,000. And then to find the profit, we just do how much we're making from our t-shirts, subtracted from how much it actually costed us, and we get $1,000 profit. And then you're going to keep doing this for 200, 300, 400, 500 t-shirts, 600 t-shirts, 700, 800, 900, and 1,000. So why don't you go ahead and pause the recording and go ahead and do this, and then you can then start the video over again, or not over again, but start it again to see what the next step is. Okay, so now you should have your table complete, and it should look something like my table right here. So you have in one column the amount of t-shirts, and then you have the cost to make the number of t-shirts, the cost we are charging our customers, and then the profit you'll be making. If you go to the project handout, you'll notice that you need to make a graph in Excel that shows how much profit you would make if you sold a certain number of t-shirts. So I'm going to go through the process of how to do that right now with you. So first, you want to go to the Start button. You want to go find Excel, which will be under Microsoft Office tools right here. So you're going to open it up. And since we're making a graph for how many t-shirts, for how much profit we would make per t-shirt, we're going to make one column, say, the amount of t-shirts. and we're going to have the other column called profits. Or profit, excuse me. And since profits are measured in dollar signs, I'm going to go ahead and put a dollar sign as the unit. And I'm just going to use this sign to represent the amount of t-shirts. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my table right here. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste this into Excel. Let's see if this works. Yay, success. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my profit. Copy and paste. Okay, good. So they match up. So now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and do this step on your own. Okay, so now that you have your two columns in Excel, you're now going to take this and make a graph. To do this, you need to first highlight your data like that. And then you need to go to insert because we're about to make a graph and insert it into our Excel file. The type of graph that we want is a scatter plot because it plots the amount of t-shirts over the profits that we have. So you pick scatter plot, and I want you to pick the scatter plot that actually has the dots to indicate where the points are and the lines that go through them. So you're going to pick the second one right here. And then as you can see, we have a graph. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and stop your video and do that. Okay, so you should now have a graph that looks something like this. With the amount of t-shirts right here and then the amount of profits on the y-axis. If you go back to your project handout, it says, don't forget to label your axis with words and units and give your graph a heading. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. First of all, as you notice here, this is the heading of the graph. And so I would go ahead and name it something like profit for t-shirts, or you can call it t-shirt profit. I don't know. Be creative with the title. I'm also right now going to make my graph bigger just so we can see more of it. And now I'm going to label my x-axis and label my y-axis. To do this, you want to go to Layout up here at the top. And we are playing around with the axes title, the x-axis and the y-axis titles. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that. And since I'm going to first do the x-axis or the horizontal axis, I'm going to select primary horizontal axis. I want a title below my axis, so I'm going to pick that. And then I'm going to go ahead and name it the amount of t-shirts. And since the amount of t-shirts is just in numbers, I'm just going to put a little number symbol right there. I'm going to do the same thing now for my vertical or my y-axis. So I'm going to go back to axis title, pick primary vertical axis title, and then I'm going to pick this rotated title because it's going to be words right here that are going up like that. And since my y-axis is the profit that I'm making from my t-shirts, I'm going to go ahead and rename this profit. And since our units are in dollars, I'm going to go ahead and write a little dollar sign. And now I have my graph. So go ahead and stop this video and try to label your axes and give your graph a title as well. Okay, so now that you've labeled your graph, you are now ready to copy your graph into your business plan. So I'm just going to highlight it and copy it and then paste it into my business plan like that. And also, the last part to the finance section for the t-shirts is we have to include an equation, y equals mx plus b, that represents our graph, and then we also have to explain how we got this equation. So I'm not going to actually do this section for you because I want you to figure it out on your own, but your explanation and your equation would go under your graph. So you would type something like the equation for this graph is, and then you would have to explain how you got the equation. So we got this equation by, and then you need to complete that sentence. Okay, and that's all there is to the finance section. You also have to do this for the eco-friendly products as well. And you know, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in class, and I'll help you out with the finance section. Okay.